Hi, and welcome back. It's Nancy Beauvais, and I wanted to talk this week about the impact that a divorce can have on your estate planning. Now, granted, when you're going through a divorce, it's a time in your life that you are going to be fraught with emotions. There's so much going on. There are the negotiations that are going on. There's engaging a lawyer. Oftentimes, unfortunately, in a divorce, it's not just two people accepting the fact that they can't live together. There is often a lot of animosity, a lot of bitterness, a lot of fighting. And because of those kinds of external events, often things can slip through the cracks. Today's episode is going to be about making sure that you keep in mind about the effect your divorce will have on your estate planning. Obviously, when you're going to get divorced, you're going to be changing things such as your beneficiaries, such as who your executor is going to be, things like a power of attorney, because probably, you have named your spouse in some capacity in all of those roles and as a beneficiary, or maybe you own a home, and that home will pass down to the spouse, the soon-to-be ex-spouse, who is also on the title. And that's what makes it so important that you don't overlook the fact that you have to plan for this, because there is kind of a bit of a limbo period between the time that you initiate the divorce and the time that the divorce is declared final. It's during that limbo phase that if anything should happen to you, the result could be what you don't intend. So let me give you an example. You're going to divorce your spouse and you have minor children. But the item of guardianship and custody is still in the works with the divorce. And maybe your soon-to-be ex-spouse isn't the best person to have full-term custody for one reason or another. You need to be able to allow for guardianship. You need to be able to have something interim set up in there in case something happens to you, or if something happens to you before the divorce is final, your ex-spouse, soon-to-be ex-spouse, could very well end up with guardianship of your minor children. Another thing is, back to the example of the house. As co-owners, you're both on title on the house, but when you're separated and you're going to get a divorce, you want to split the asset, but you don't want them to get the full value of the house. So what you need to do is see a lawyer, go to land titles, and get that title split. So each of you share the equity of the home, but you're independent on title, so that should something happen to you, your share of that value in the home will go to your beneficiaries, your heirs, as opposed to passing on to that ex-spouse and now becoming a part of their total estate. Another thing that you need to consider is if you haven't allowed for it in the interim period before your divorce is final, your soon-to-be ex-spouse will likely end up getting access and all the assets in any bank accounts, life insurance policies, registered savings funds, any of those kinds of fiscal accounts, any kind of those investment accounts, life insurance policies. All of these things could unintentionally pass on to your soon-to-be ex-spouse. Maybe your plan was to shift everything so that your children become your beneficiaries, or a charity, or spread out among a number of relatives or friends. Perhaps that was your intention, but because you didn't have that change in place, because your divorce wasn't final, everything is now going to go back to your soon-to-be ex-spouse, which is obviously not what your intention would be. Something else to consider that people often forget, everybody talks about divvying up the assets when there's a separation and an imminent divorce. But there's also the issue of debts. And in most jurisdictions, Assets and debts are equally shared, the shared responsibility of both people. So keep in mind that if your soon-to-be ex-spouse has accumulated a whole bunch of debt in their name, you could still end up being liable for that. So you have to make sure that there's that division of debt as well as the separation of the assets in a legal fashion, just to make sure that your intentions happen if, again, something happens to you in that interim period between the separation and the actual completion of the divorce. These are just some of the things that can come up that people don't think about when they're creating their estate plan. That's one of the ways that I can help you. I'm a legacy and lifestyle planner, and I make sure that all of these little nuanced issues that people don't always think about are thought about, and that you know where to get the appropriate help when you take the proper steps for that legacy and lifestyle plan. So hop over to my website, read more about this article. Thank you very much to Rachel for inspiring me about this article and this video. Rachel is a lawyer in California, and I am quite inspired by much of her content. As always, if you have any questions, I invite you to reach out. And please also check out what my offerings are on the website. See how I can help you resolve some of your issues. Thanks very much, and I'll see you next week. Bye for now.